Hello, everyone. This is a recording of the slide deck presented at the Hollywood Boulevard Transportation Resiliency Framework Study meeting on September 13, 2023. The meeting was held at the Hollywood Beach Culture and Community Center in Hollywood, Florida. Here's an example of one of the flyers that began distribution on August 14, 2023, announcing the meeting and location. My name is Levi Stewart Figueroa, and I'm with the Broward MPO, and I'm also the project manager for this study. This presentation will be posted in two parts. Part 1 will include the project introduction, what is the MPO, and how do we prioritize projects. Coordination. This planning study isn't happening alone. We are coordinating on every level. And MPO resiliency framework, how we are looking at the study. Part 2 will be presented by our consultant, Catherine Prince with WSP, and we'll cover the data collection and interactive session, as well as next steps. So, what is the MPO? We are a federally mandated public agency responsible for making policy on local transportation issues. Our board is made up of elected officials from our 31 municipalities, county commissioners, school board representatives, as well as SFRTA. In a very simplified nutshell, our board prioritizes federal transportation funds for the metropolitan area. This ensures that the federal money from DC is being applied to projects important to the people that live here. Being federally mandated, the federal government requires that all MPOs produce certain documents. You can see a list of things here, but I want to call to your attention the MTP, or Metropolitan Transportation Plan. This is our long-range plan. It projects out over 25 years and is updated every 5 years. These products govern our short-term, our mid-term, and our long-term planning efforts, and guide our public outreach and education. I specifically mentioned the MTP because I wanted to let you all know that we are in the process of updating our MTP, or long-range plan. This plan is called Route to 2050, and further information can be found at the sign-in table or on the MPO's website. It's important to know about the MTP because that's how this project we're here tonight to discuss, the Hollywood Boulevard Resiliency Project, came to be. As part of the 2045 MTP, resiliency was identified as a planning factor for the first time. That allowed us to include 8 vulnerable corridors from previous vulnerability analysis completed by the MPO into the 2045 MTP. You can see the map on the right of the 8 corridors listed in no particular order. But 3 of those corridors are in Hollywood. Johnson Street is identified here as D, Hollywood Boulevard identified as E, and A1A identified as G. How everything was prioritized and ranked can be found on the MPO's website, but Hollywood Boulevard was ranked highest in our vulnerability analysis, which is why it was prioritized and received funding for this study. We're here tonight to discuss the planning study underway along Hollywood Boulevard, east of Young Circle to the bridge. You can see we have what we are calling an influence area identified adjacent to the corridor. We want this to be a holistic approach, and to do so, we need to know where the water is coming from, where it's going, who's being impacted, and how. We also don't want to just move the water with any solutions to another location. Keeping Hollywood Boulevard dry but flooding the neighborhood is not an acceptable solution. So, we really believe there has to be a holistic look at the area and not simply the corridor. Quickly, I'm going to touch on coordination. Just like we need to know what challenges and stressors are within the influence area, we also need to know what projects are happening around Hollywood Boulevard. We are working with the city, FDOT, and Broward County's resiliency team to ensure existing projects are included as part of our study. The next few slides touch on some of the coordination. There are representatives from these agencies here tonight that can answer or direct you to the answer for questions specific to projects that they are working on. With the City of Hollywood, we are closely coordinating with the Stormwater Master Plan team. We know that their projects will be significantly improving issues around Hollywood Boulevard. However, Hollywood Boulevard is a state road, and the Stormwater Master Plan does not have any recommendations for Hollywood Boulevard itself. That said, the drainage system is connected. So the good news is that a Hollywood Boulevard project could help secure funding for some of the Stormwater Master Plan recommended upgrades. We are also in coordination with the Tidal Flood Mitigation Project team. Most of the 22 identified locations are within the influence area. There are a number of folks here from the city tonight if you have specific questions that they relate to the Stormwater Master Plan or the Flood Mitigation Project. FDOT is also a partner with the Hollywood Boulevard study, and we've been coordinating with them with their A1A resiliency projects that are ongoing. There will be an upcoming FDOT-led meeting addressing this study and project in the coming months. Brad Salisbury is the project manager for this project. Broward County's resiliency team is also here tonight. Dr. Gerardo and her team have really done a lot to help us better understand our vulnerabilities here in Broward. Here's a small list of some of the things that they have done. Something the county has invested a lot in that will help inform this project and all of our projects here in Broward is the groundwater map. As sea levels increase, so does the groundwater table, which then causes us to lose the ability to absorb some of the rainfall, and also have to think about road design as water gets closer to the roadbed. And here's another A1A project that we've been coordinating with some Resilient Florida grant funds in order to update some pumps along A1A. The county is also working on a countywide risk assessment. Once that is completed, we at the MPO will look to see how we can use the assessment in what we do. But getting back to Hollywood Boulevard and the study area, as I mentioned, we have 8 corridors to study, and we didn't want each corridor studied in a different way. So we at the MPO developed a resiliency framework. This is our step-by-step look at the corridor to ensure we are looking at everything in the same way. Something that was important was our ability to identify short-term, medium, and long-term projects. We didn't want this to just be a study that looked at the roadway, made a recommendation, and then did nothing for 10 or 15 years, come back with a project that everybody's forgotten about. So as part of the field review, we were able to identify some short-term solutions that FDOT might be able to include in their resurfacing project along Hollywood Boulevard that will happen in the next couple of years. So this is our framework. We won't go through each of the 9 steps in depth tonight, but if you're interested, the full framework is available on our website. So far, with this study, we've completed steps 1 through 3. So we've selected stressors, identified risk, and established impact, which we'll go over a little bit tonight. Before concluding part 1 of the recording, I wanted to review the project schedule. As you can see, the project kickoff took place in March of 2023. We've been doing data collection and analysis since then. We had a field review where City, FDOT, and MPO staff walked the corridor to document everything we saw. This so happened to be the week after the flood event in April, so we were able to document some of the flooding aftermath, as well as speak to residents about their experience. Our next steps will be to develop alternatives for the corridor and come back to you in a public meeting number 2, the end of this year or early next year. Following that, we'll refine those concepts to a preferred alternative that we will bring back to the public here for a third meeting sometime in March. This concludes part 1 of the recording. If you would like to understand the data collection and see what was presented as part of the interactive session, please see part 2 of the recording